Oh my gosh. Well, it's decaying very quick. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end for that ship there. Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video, we are back in Floating Sandbox, and today we are continuing our build of this ship here. Now, if you haven't followed the series already, I'll pop a playlist in the top right corner, but basically for this series, what I do is I take suggestions from you guys in the comments below, and I use them to build this ship. But today, we're going to be focusing on three things. That's going to be crew spaces, cargo spaces, and possibly the boiler rooms. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's get into it. Now, as usual for these videos, we're going to go through the suggestions from the last video. Now, once again, I do have to remind you, I'm just showcasing some of the comments here, but I have seen all the comments and I have considered them. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, so our first suggestion comes in from Hank Sandy. They want to see me raise the black hull up to the well deck level. Yes, I will definitely be doing this because as of recently, that's been bugging me. So thank you, Hank. Let's move on to the next suggestion. And this one comes in from GG_endgame. They want to see a car in the cargo hold as well as some cargo hold details. So yes, absolutely we'll be doing this. I saw some other comments suggesting some cargo hold details. So yeah, we'll be adding those into the cargo hold. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. This one comes in from Andy Happy Guy. They want to see for the aft room, just past the dining room, they want to see a steering gear room, which is really cool, and also a galley. And yeah, I've been waiting to add a galley in, so I'm pretty excited for this video because I'm going to add little tables and whatnot, as well as some cooking surfaces, kind of something that looks pretty cool. I'll have to fit it in somewhere, but I think it might be on the floor below, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So thank you, Andy. Let's move on to the next suggestion. Alright, so the next suggestion here is from Marine_Liner Explorer. They want to see a generator room. So yes, there will be a generator room. We'll put that in, and we're not going to detail it, but that's where the electrics are going to be. So we're going to put like a little bit of a panel or whatnot, but we're not going to actually put the wires or anything in. That's going to be held off for a later video once we actually put all of the lights and stuff in. So we're going to wait a little bit. Now here's a suggestion that I saw so many people request, so I'm not going to put a single comment for it because so many of you guys requested it. Mentioned it in the intro, but we're going to be adding, or hopefully going to be adding, some boiler rooms in today's video. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today, and let's hop into it. Alright, so let's start out with raising that black hull just up a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. So I'm just going to jump cut to when I'm finished because it's not going to be super interesting, but you'll get to see the end result, so here we go. Alright, so now that that's done, as you can see, I've raised the black hull up just a little bit, and now we're going to add in some details to the cargo holds. So we're going to start with some big boxes down here. We can imagine that there's just random stuff. I mean, we really need to detail this forepeak, so I might as well just get this done right now. So let me just quickly do that. So this is just going to be really simple. I'm actually just going to use the fill tool here. There we go. So now the forepeak is kind of painted in with that red, so we actually know it's the forepeak, but there we are. And you know what? I'm going to add in a watertight door in this area as well, because I think we could put some cargo in there, and then put the anchor chains up here. Alright, there we are. So now we got another watertight door, so now we're going to go ahead and fill this whole thing in with cargo. So you can imagine all sorts of cargo would be stored in this area. I mean, I'm not doing anything really specific. I will do the car in the compartment where the stairs go down to. Well, the compartment below the stairs, I should say. I'm going to add a ladder down, possibly, because I think we could use some access there. Like a ladder going down a small hatch or whatever. But, yeah, there we are. Now, I may do a bit of an homage to the 97 Titanic film, so I'll try to draw a car that looks like the one from the film, so let me see if I can do that real quick. Alright, there we go. That's somewhat of a car. I mean, I guess it looks like a car. It's more of a tractor, I would say, but there we are. I'm not sure how they would get it in there. I guess maybe dropping it down the cargo hatch or reassembling it inside of that compartment there. It's kind of an inconvenient spot, but whatever. It's kind of a interesting thought experiment to try to figure out how they would get the car inside that enclosed compartment, but whatever, we'll keep building. So yeah, we got a wide variety of things we're carrying here, so that actually makes it look pretty nice. So moving aft from there, I want to fill these with coal, and this has been bugging me for a while, so I can't wait to fill this in, so here we go. Alright, there we are, and there we are. And since we're here, we might as well build the boilers. I know you guys have been waiting forever for a boiler room or the boilers to be added into the boiler room. So let's go. So let's design a boiler. So let's see how this looks. So I'm going to add the uptakes there. Okay. And then I'll just cut this open. And then I'm going to do some detailing to make the actual furnaces. Alright, there we go. So it looks like there's actually a fire in there, which looks pretty cool. So let's make the other one. Now that looks horrible. So as you can see, they're not even on either side. Well, that is an interesting predicament, isn't it? Well, let's see how we can make it even then. Alright, I'm back, and I've made a decision. I have to kind of move things around a little bit. I have to move the aft coal bunker back by 1 block, and I have to create a more centered bulkhead. So, I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to jump cut to when I have a base design down, and then we'll just keep building. Okay, so there we are. I've moved the coal bunker, and now we're looking a little more even, and now I'm going to add that middle bulkhead there, and we should be good. So it does have to be 3 blocks, but that's fine, so let's add that in. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll add in a watertight door. So one thing I am going to do is add an access up into this area, and then they can actually get to the bunks over there. I know that they're third-class bunks, but they can also double as crew bunks too, which can simply be done by adding in a ladder. And I'm going to do it as if it was sideways, so we can't quite see the rungs there, but we can see the side of it. And then I'm going to add the hatch just there. Alright, there we are. Now the room directly in front of the boiler room is a good candidate for a generator room, so we might as well add it. Now just remember, once again, we're not doing the electrics yet. That'll be later, but for now we're just going to add in the room itself. So once again, a ladder going up to the deck above. There we are. So I'm thinking they would have some dynamos or whatever here, some stuff to control the power, so I'll add those in. Okay, there we are. So now that the dynamos are in, let's add in some switches. So that looks pretty cool, and then I'll add in another switch. There we are. Perfect. Now, obviously, we'll come back to this room when we start doing the electrics and whatnot, but there we are. There's the generator room. Alright, so let's move on to the galley or kitchen. That's going to be directly underneath the dining room, so let's get started. So we're just going to rip out these bulkheads. There we are. That's gone. Now we're going to start building the galley. I'm going to leave the walls as is because usually a kitchen doesn't need any fancy walls or anything like that, just the bare metal. So let's start with the refrigerators, and I'm going to add in a walk-in freezer just there. So I need to also make the door there as well, so let me just do that real quick. Now I am going to use cardboard, but I'm just using it because the color is slightly different from the walls around, and that'll just give some difference there. And then I'm going to add in fiberglass to kind of look like the condensation on the walls or whatever. That looks pretty good. And because it's freezing, let's add in some icicles. So now let's do the cooking surfaces. So there we are. As you can see, I've just added in a bit of a, I don't know what you would call it. I guess you'd call it an island, but there we are. And then we'll do a rack overhead as well. And we'll also do some stoves. All right, so there we go. So we've got an oven, we've got a cooking surface, and we have a walk-in freezer. Now, I think we can add in a few more details, so let me just go ahead and do that. I think I might be able to add just some things like portholes. That could be cool. Let's add in some, like, right over here. That looks nice. And maybe one over here as well. So, yeah, there we are. Now, we'll imagine the stairs go up somewhere. We'll actually make sure that water floods into this area. That's pretty easy. All I have to do is select this material and then just add a simple hole in the floor, maybe something like that. There we go. So let's move on to the steering gear room. This basically controls the rudder, and that'll be behind the galley. So I'm going to use cardboard because it's kind of different from the metal we just used in the galley, but I'm just going to put something in here that looks like a steering gear. So there we go. That looks nice. And then I'll add in a bit of darker iron to add in that gear effect there, because it's just a giant gear that turns, I believe. So there it is. Alright, so now we've got all the suggestions done for today's video. Let's go ahead, let's spawn it in, and let's sink it. So instead of doing a violent sinking, let's do a bit of a slow one. So just a few holes in the ship. So you can see water is rapidly inundating the lower decks. The cargo holds are halfway flooded, now over halfway, and there they go. They are going under. Rest in peace, the car, but there it is. And soon the water's going to come up through the ladder access, as well as the cargo hold access, which is covered over by wooden boards. But as you can see, the water is now flooding into the upper deck, and it is now pouring into the forward cargo hold, the most upper cargo hold in the ship at the moment. So there we are, and now it's actually in the cargo hold access point here that goes down from the lower class cabins. The ship is taking on a heavy trim forward as water continues to pour into it. Water is now up to the 3rd deck here, and it's making its way in not only through the stairwell here, but also through the cargo hatch itself. It's almost like an overflowing well. Water is continuing to rise up deck after deck, and it's now flooding into the cabin. So if the passengers weren't already aware of the situation by the list, well, they will be now of the flooding in their cabins. So yeah. Luckily, the bulkheads are holding strong and are preventing water from flooding further aft, which is good. But as you'll notice in a couple of minutes, water is going to rapidly flood up into each individual bunk and then over into this door and down into the actual compartments here, which will bring the ship down even further. But luckily, the ship is holding strong. I think what's going to take it down is basically water's going to obviously flood into these cabins and flood over and continue to flood in, but also water is going to come up through here, and you can already see it happening. It's starting to pour down this deck, yep, and pool right over there. So yeah, things are happening very quick. Now, we yet to have crew bunks, but this area could be a good candidate for it. But as you can see, the ship is not doing well. That is a lot of water, and the water is now on the forecastle deck. And with that, water is now flooding into the 2nd bunk and now into the 3rd one. This is the lower class bunks, but no water in the suites yet, because the water is still in the hallway and it's pouring down, I guess, here. So yeah. You can see still a lot of the ship is dry, but there is a lot of it, mainly crew and 3rd class, that is now flooding, and the first class spaces are beginning to flood. The living room area of the suite is beginning to flood, and you can imagine by this stage the passengers are already up on deck and they are getting into the lifeboat. So let's go ahead and let's release the lifeboat. There it is. Go away, lifeboat. Well, yep, they're all dead. Anyways, now you'll notice it's really going to start going. You can see the ship is flooding in through that cargo hatch, and things are going to go down very quick now. You can see the cafe is going to be no more in a minute as water floods through the window there. But luckily, the boilers still hold strong, so maybe they can still have a bit of steam power to do something. I don't know what they would do because the generator room is now flooded. We may have to have an auxiliary generator room in the engine room itself, but we'll see. Luckily, the grand staircase is still dry, but not for long because water is about to pour out of the cafe and into the staircase itself. So here we go. The bridge is now flooding as well, and the ship is really creeping out of the water at this stage. And there goes the staircase. You can actually visibly see the water pouring down the staircase itself. And there it is, folks. That's it. The water is pouring into the 1st boiler room. Now with this, the water is going to pour into the 2nd boiler room because that watertight door is open. And look at that, the dome has broken. Water is pouring in and the ship is going down very quick. Now I'm also giving the funnels a chance to break. We'll see if it does work. I have put cardboard at the bottom of it, so let's see if they do collapse. Doesn't look like it, but there's a ton of water pouring in. Look at that. Wow, the ventilation system is now being enveloped by water. This is pretty tragic to see because now water is going to rapidly make its way all around the ship and take it down. And look, it's already going straight to the bottom. And look at that, the ventilation for the engine room going under super quick. This is the end, and oh, actually it's not because it's just hit bottom. Well, it still is the end, but it's just hit bottom. That's pretty cool. So now it's just going to settle down on the bottom. Now you can see most of the ship is underwater in the interior. However, you will notice that there are air pockets, so we do have to work those out. I think the galley may also be an air pocket, so we'll have to fix that as well. So yeah, there's a few things we need to change, but we'll do that in the next video. For now, we can just kind of imagine that they imploded, so we'll do that there. And obviously, these would probably implode as well, because these are just tanks for now. And, yeah, there we go. So these would also go, because those are sealed off. And the dining room is now flooding. And it's gone, and it's about to hit bottom. Boom! There it is. Oh! And the funnel finally broke. So there we are. Now, let's see what happens when we turn rot accelerator on to, well, just the maximum setting. Alright, so here we go. And go. Oh my gosh. Well, it's decaying very quick. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the end for that ship there. My big question is, will it, like, collapse? What will collapse first? And I think I already know. I think the bridge is gonna just go in a minute. I mean, obviously, the wheelhouse is already gone. It was made out of wood, so there it is. And it's gone. Wow, this thing is really collapsing. There goes the stern and the masts. Wow, this is actually really interesting. Wow. Oh, there goes the bow, collapsing down. There's a curious shark there as well. Alright, well, there it is. That is the remains of the ship. Maybe 100 years later after it sank, but there we are. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.